Alright, hi guys. I had to stop and make this video because it's just kind of driving me a little crazy the way there's never any room for nuance in pretty much any topic, especially political stuff. So I'm going to be looking at kind of socialism versus capitalism from the lens of through the lens of like ethics and justice and liberty across the board. So one of the problems that we get into here is things aren't this clear, black and white. Like just tax the rich people, just increase the minimum wage. First off, right, if you increase the minimum wage, you're going to hurt all the small businesses. Small businesses can't really cope with that. You're going to push even more Amazon to the top. Is like what's going to happen, which is exactly what you don't want to happen, right? The best solution I've heard working within the system that we have right now is to cap the max allowable CEO pay until all of the employees in a company are no longer living off government assistance, and then basically let them go sky's the limit, total freedom for their company. Um, you get into problems here with like, let's say you got the other side of the table, right? That's just like pick your stuff up by your bootstraps. The problem with that is the government is in the way. I'm on the side of more freedom. I want more freedom for everyone, right? So I don't really believe in just stealing people's money, more government regulation, all this stuff. I think they suck at their job and they can't do anything correctly, and they usually end up full of corruption. So this real quick is a little example. Let's say you wanted to legally get into selling cannabis. In my state, Michigan here, according to this, it looks like about $6,000 is going to be the minimum for the license fee. And there's other licenses that you have to get as well. This is just for one of them. And it could be as high as $40,000. Do you see a problem here? Right? Like, I personally could go right now from kind of struggling financially to being very successful financially inside of probably a week if I had the money for these licenses. Because I know how to grow, I have plenty of product, but it's all just for me, way more than I could ever use myself. Because I can't afford these license fees to start the business to then do this thing for myself. So then you're pushing a person into a situation where they don't get to do what they want to do for a living. Now they are forced to go do what is called wage slave. And this is where you get in the problem and the nuance. It's not clear because we live within the system that we do. I don't personally see them going the other way and getting rid of licenses and all this other stuff that they literally allow the big companies to help like lobby and push the laws and create more and more regulation and barrier to entry to the market so that you're not able to get there and compete against them. And that's where I say this is a nuanced discussion. It's not just it needs to be socialism and just tax them and increase the minimum wage. And it can't just be just pick yourself up by your bootstraps, because you can see here like they're literally actively stopping you from just doing it. So this is where I say like there's always this divide and conquer going on. They got the left hating the right, and this doesn't matter whether you're in the really deep state politics or you're more libertarian or you're a full-blown anarchist. There are right anarchists and left anarchists, and they hate each other because they can't get in the middle and discuss this nuance here, right? Where like the left is focused on all this stuff and they're not addressing all these barriers to entry and how possibly this could change everything for people to be able to compete and really pick themselves up by their bootstraps for real if this wasn't a thing. But it is a thing. And so the other side needs to realize it is a thing. And we need to discuss, are we going to get rid of these things? Or do we look at solutions, not the minimum wage one, we already discussed, that's going to hurt people. But if we're going to work within the system we have, and that's where I think this other kind of idea from the left I've heard that's not nearly as popular and is much more logical is just cap CEO pay to something very reasonably high, because they are CEOs. They generate a lot of value, right? Without them, those jobs don't exist at all. And they give them a good high pay, but cap it until those employees aren't living off of taxpayer money, because that's the other problem, right? Is like the people on the right, they don't want to support any initiatives like this, but they're not looking at the bigger picture where like, okay, you're letting Walmart basically abuse their employees, and most of Walmart's employees end up living off of government aid. So you're subsidizing Walmart's paying their employees essentially. You, the regular just middle class person trying to get by, maybe even kind of like upper lower class, you know, like you're struggling trying to get by, but they've tricked you and you're out here arguing essentially like for Walmart and Amazon and like other companies to not really pay a livable wage, but the CEOs are taking home the biggest money in the world, and they report smaller profit margins, right? But it's because they report profit margins after they pay their CEOs absolutely ridiculous amounts of money that nobody actually needs to live on. And so again, I say the topic is full of nuance. Stop fighting each other and discuss the nuance. And we need to figure out the real problems here. It's usually the government. You don't want the government to do more shit, but you have to address the real problems, like these massive barriers to entry that are going on right here. Up to $40,000 for a license to be able to get into selling cannabis in a state where they've legalized, right? This is the issue. Please stop fighting each other. Thanks.